The morning light arrives here with a particular kind of precision, sliding across the face of the limestone until every edge is defined by a thin sliver of silver. There is a weight to the silence in this enclosure, a stillness that feels intentional, as if the walls themselves were built to hold the air exactly where it rests. The geometry of the ground creates a rhythm that requires no movement to understand. It is simply there, a series of locked lines and intersections that ground the space against the soft, organic reach of the single tree. You can see the way the light catches the underside of the leaves, turning the deep reds into something translucent and glowing, yet nothing stirs. The house sits just at the edge of the frame, a silent witness to the way the shadows lengthen and retract across the stone. It is a place where the passage of time is measured only by the slow migration of a shadow from one joint in the masonry to the next, a quiet dialogue between the built and the living that asks for nothing but your presence. In this narrow corridor, the world narrows down to the texture of cold stone and the vibrant, spherical clarity of the blooms. The path is a sequence of deliberate steps, each one a heavy slab of dark basalt that seems to float atop the pale, crushed gravel. There is no sound here, not even the crunch of a footfall, only the visual vibration of the purple globes standing perfectly upright against the muted tones of the concrete. The high brick wall of the home provides a sense of absolute protection, turning this small strip of land into a private sanctuary where the air feels cooler and more still than the world outside. The light is soft and even, stripping away the harshness of the day to reveal the subtle gradients of color in the masonry. It is a transition that leads nowhere but deeper into the feeling of home, a rhythmic progression of shapes that encourages a slower pace. A longer look at the way the roundness of the flowers contrasts with the unyielding straightness of the walls. From above, the courtyard reveals itself as a perfect composition of squares within squares, a nested geometry that feels profoundly secure. The wooden benches form a clean perimeter, their honey-toned slats offering a warmth that balances the cool precision of the stone floor. The white tulips stand in disciplined rows, their waxy petals catching the overhead sun, held in place by the soft movement of grasses that remain perfectly still in the midday heat. This is a room without a ceiling, a domestic space that has traded its roof for the sky while maintaining the intimacy of an interior. The enclosure is total, the high slats of the fence creating a textured boundary that keeps the gaze inward, focused on the central void where the light pools. There is a profound sense of rest in the symmetry, a feeling that everything has been placed exactly where it belongs and has no reason to ever move. The stillness is architectural, built into the very frame of the garden, inviting a quiet observation of the way the sun carves depth into the sunken center. The water in the stone basin is so still it appears as a solid sheet of glass, a mirror held up to the sharp angles of the roofline above. It is a small point of focus within the larger courtyard, a place where the geometry of the architecture is softened by a liquid reflection. Around the base, the moss clings to the stone in velvety patches, a deep green that feels ancient against the crisp, white uniformity of the surrounding pebbles. There is a sense of miniature scale here, a world within a world where the smallest details, the grain of the rock, the curve of a single pebble become the primary focus. The light hits the surface of the water at a low angle, highlighting the clarity of the reflection and the absolute absence of ripples. It is a moment of total stasis, a pause in the center of the garden that captures the essence of the entire space. The residential backdrop is distant and blurred, leaving only this quiet intersection of stone and water to speak of the stillness that permeates the home. Under the dark frame of the pergola, the light is filtered through a delicate lace of white blooms, creating a dappled pattern on the slate floor below. The joints between the tiles are filled with a soft, creeping moss, suggesting a space that is lived in and cherished, a modern design that has begun to settle into the earth. The single chair stands as a silent invitation, its form as sculptural and considered as the plants that surround it. There is no movement here, only the steady, quiet growth of the wisteria as it winds its way around the metal beams. The enclosure feels intimate and protective, a corner of the garden where the scale is perfectly matched to the human body. The air is heavy with the scent of the season, though it remains perfectly calm, held within the embrace of the high courtyard walls. Looking out from the shade, the rest of the garden is a bright geometric landscape of stone and light. But here, in the shadow, the atmosphere is one of deep, unmoving repose. The steel of the planters has a matte finish that absorbs the light, creating a strong, dark base for the bright yellow of the daffodils. They stand in disciplined clusters, their heads tilted slightly toward the sun, yet they remain as motionless as the metal that contains them. The blue-gray of the fescue grass mimics the tones of the rendered wall behind, blurring the lines between the organic and the structural. This is a study in color and form, where the geometry of the boxes dictates the flow of the garden. The sunlight is harsh and direct, carving out deep, black shadows that stretch across the stone floor like ink. There is a rhythmic quality to the arrangement, a repetition of shapes that brings a sense of order and calm to the small space. It feels like a gallery of living things, curated and held within the private confines of a home's exterior. The silence is thick, reinforced by the solid walls and the unyielding lines of the design, creating a space where the eyes can rest on the simple harmony of steel and stem. The porcelain pavers stretch out in a seamless expanse of cool gray, their large format minimizing the lines and creating a surface that feels almost like water. To the side, the etched glass screen catches the light, its geometric patterns throwing a subtle, ghost-like shadow across the patio. The blue of the hydrangeas is intense, a concentrated burst of color in an otherwise monochromatic world. Behind them, the glass doors of the house reflect the garden back onto itself, doubling the sense of enclosure and privacy. There is no distinction here between the comfort of the indoors and the beauty of the outdoors. They bleed into one another through the transparency of the glass and the continuity of the design. The air is still, the heavy heads of the hydrangeas resting motionless on their stems. It is a space designed for a quiet afternoon, where the only thing to do is watch the way the light shifts through the screen, moving slowly across the porcelain tiles in a silent, daily ritual. The curve of the gravel path provides a soft counterpoint to the straight lines of the timber fence, leading the eye gently toward the central stone plinth. It is a small, carefully choreographed journey through a landscape that feels much larger than its physical footprint. The boxwood hedging is clipped with surgical precision, a low wall of green that defines the edge of the path. In the corner, the cherry tree is a cloud of white, its blossoms held in a state of perfect suspension against the blue sky. There is a sense of timelessness here, a garden that feels as though it has always existed in this state of quiet perfection. The vertical slats of the fence create a rhythmic backdrop, a textured screen that keeps the world at bay. The light is warm and golden, catching the individual stones in the path and the delicate petals of the flowers. It is a space of absolute peace, a residential retreat where the geometry of the design and the softness of the season find a perfect, silent balance. The wall is a blank canvas for the sun, a bright white surface where the architecture of the garden is projected in shades of gray. The shadows are sharp and linear, a reflection of the pergola or the fence that stands just out of sight. Overlapping these dark lines is the vibrant, lime-green foliage of a Japanese maple, its delicate leaves appearing almost neon against the neutral background. There is a profound stillness in this composition, a moment where the organic and the geometric are layered one on top of the other. The light is so strong that it seems to flatten the world into a two-dimensional pattern, a graphic representation of the garden's soul. No wind disturbs the branch. It rests against the wall as if painted there. This is the essence of the courtyard, a place where the most simple elements of light, shadow, and leaf combine to create a scene of intense, quiet beauty. The focus is narrow, drawing the viewer into the micro details of the residential space, where even a single shadow tells a story of enclosure and peace. The transition from stone to wood is seamless, a change in texture that signals a shift in the garden's mood. The light-colored deck feels warm under the sun, a soft platform that anchors the center of the space. The black planters provide a stark, modern contrast, their dark surfaces highlighting the pale, delicate faces of the white hellebores. They stand in a row, a silent guard along the edge of the wood. Behind them, the high stone wall rises up, its surface rough and tactile, a solid barrier that reinforces the garden's sense of isolation. A built-in bench offers a place to sit, though it remains empty, a sculptural element in its own right. The light is clear and bright, filling the courtyard with a sense of openness despite its small size. Everything is held in a state of quiet equilibrium, a domestic landscape where the materials have been chosen for their ability to hold the light and the silence in equal measure. The water moves so smoothly over the black granite that it is almost invisible, a thin, shimmering skin that only reveals itself at the edges where it breaks into a silent drip. It is a feature designed for the eyes rather than the ears, a visual representation of flow within a space of total stasis. The dark river rocks at the base are wet and glistening, their rounded shapes contrasting with the sharp, flat surface of the granite. Behind the feature, the bamboo stands in a dense, vertical wall, its green canes adding a sense of height and further enclosure to the small courtyard. The light catches the wet stone, creating bright highlights that dance across the dark surface. There is no other movement. The bamboo is still, and the water's flow is so constant it appears frozen. It is a corner of the garden that feels like a temple, a place of meditation and quiet observation where the elements of stone, water, and wood are brought into perfect, silent alignment. Through the glass, the garden appears as a framed artwork, a curated view that brings the outside in. The rusted steel ring of the sculpture is a bold, circular interruption to the straight lines of the courtyard, its orange-brown patina glowing in the sunlight. It is surrounded by a sea of pale lavender, the soft purple spikes providing a hazy, textured base for the heavy metal. The gray gravel floor is clean and uniform, a neutral field that allows the colors of the sculpture and the plants to pop. The stone walls rise high on all sides, creating a deep well of light and air that feels entirely separate from the world beyond the house. From this vantage point, the stillness of the garden is palpable, a quiet tableau that remains unchanged throughout the day. The interior of the home is dark and cool, a shadow from which to observe the bright, geometric precision of the outdoor space. It is a residential landscape designed for the gaze, a place where the act of looking is the only activity required. The garden climbs the wall in a tapestry of greens and grays, a living vertical landscape that turns the boundary of the courtyard into a feature of its own. Succulents with their thick, fleshy leaves and delicate ferns are tucked into the dark wood paneling, creating a contrast of textures that is both modern and organic. The limestone path at the base is narrow and precise, a bright line that leads the eye toward this wall of life. Looking up, the sky is a small rectangle of blue, framed by the top of the wall and the edge of the house. The light filters down from above, illuminating the different layers of the vertical garden and highlighting the intricate patterns of the plants. There is a sense of being at the bottom of a lush, quiet well, a secret space where nature has been invited to grow in a highly structured environment. The air is cool and still, held within the embrace of the wood and stone, a private corner where the scale is intimate and the atmosphere is one of profound vertical peace. As the sun begins to lower, the light turns a deep, honeyed gold, casting long shadows through the ornamental grasses. The black bollard lights are silent sentinels, their minimalist forms emerging from the purple haze of the salvia. They promise a different kind of beauty once the sun sets, but for now, they are simply part of the garden's geometry. The slate patio in the background is a cool, dark expanse, its surface beginning to lose the heat of the day. There is a soft, glowing quality to the air, a sense that the garden is breathing in the last of the light before the evening arrives. The stillness is absolute, not a single blade of grass moves. The enclosure of the residential walls keeps the space warm and quiet, a sanctuary that feels increasingly private as the shadows grow. It is a moment of transition that feels like a destination, a quiet end to a day where nothing has happened and nothing needed to. The entire courtyard is revealed as a single, harmonious thought, a masterclass in modern residential design. From this height, the geometry of the paths, the placement of the trees, and the rhythm of the walls all come together in a perfect, silent whole. The limestone is a pale sea that holds the various elements of wood and plant life in place. The seasonal blooms provide small, focused bursts of color that break up the monochromatic tones of the stone. The house surrounds the garden on three sides, its windows dark and reflective, creating a sense of total privacy and enclosure. The light is fading now, a soft twilight that smooths over the edges and brings a final, deep sense of peace to the space. It is a small world, complete and self-contained, a place where the modern and the natural have found a way to coexist in absolute stillness. There is no movement, no sound, only the presence of the garden itself, a quiet testament to the beauty of a space that exists solely for the purpose of being.